Hey, dreamers, welcome back to your Dream Coach podcast. I'm Shayla Wey. I am a small business coach, growth strategist, and believer that your dream life starts the moment that you lead like you mean it. This podcast is all about leadership, fulfillment, and growth. So today we're diving into something I know so many entrepreneurs, so many leaders really can struggle with, and that's feeling constantly drained even when they're doing the work that they love. So if you've ever ended your day wondering where all of your energy went, or worse, waking up already exhausted, this episode is going to shift something for you. I've titled this episode Designing Your Days for Energy, Not Exhaustion, because burnout doesn't happen from working too much. It happens from working without alignment, without boundaries, and without intention. So this just isn't theory. It's what I've learned firsthand, and it's a game changer. So let's jump in. Energy is a leadership asset, not a luxury. And what I found is that energy isn't just nice to have, it's essential to leadership. So when you show up drained, your team does feel that. Your family feels it, your audience feels it. The opposite is also true. So when you're energized, you become magnetic. You lead better, you coach better, you sell better. We often protect our time, but we forget to protect our energy. And I had to learn to not just ask what's on my calendar, but what's giving me life and what's draining it. Start treating your energy like your greatest currency. And you might think that freedom means waking up without a plan. But what I found is that the right structure is what actually creates that freedom. So when our structure is set up with boundaries, that does create more freedom. And when I finally implemented time blocks, theme days, and just decision filters, I started having more energy because I wasn't constantly switching gears. And structure starts to give your nervous system some relief. So you stop firefighting, you stop scrambling, and suddenly you're not just working hard, you're working well and intentionally setting up your schedule to be a reflection of how you want to navigate your energy throughout the week. And as a business coach, this is something I help a lot of people with all of the time is how do we get all the things done? How do we preserve energy? How do we stay focused while really enjoying the journey and being present along the way? So structure that is in alignment with the goals you have and the schedule that excites you and gives you the energy you need to really lead at a high level. A lot of people I've also noticed will start their day in reactive mode. So we're very quick to check email, Slack, notifications. But when we start with energy anchors and not to-do lists, then what happens is we start our day off in the right state. So this could be journaling, it could be movement, meditation, even just a walk outside, music, great cup of coffee, but whatever connects you to your purpose and gets you in the right state. And we have control for that. We can choose how we begin the day, and that really starts the foundation on the rest of how our energy flows throughout it. So if we create a place of strength to start the day and we have a grounded foundation, we can begin with fulfillment and that moment of the day that really feels like yours and it doesn't feel like it's being hijacked. And we can then create the right energy going into the rest of the things we have on the schedule. Now, if you feel like you're exhausted and you're always checking yeses, I always like to remind myself that every yes to something misaligned is a no to something more meaningful. Not everything in your schedule deserves a yes. I used to say yes to everything, coffee chats, projects, calls outside of my hours, and it just drained me. Now I've learned to really pause and ask, is this aligned with my values, my energy, my mission? That simple filter can completely reshape your day and your business overall. And sometimes we can hold on to tasks that suck the life out of us. Maybe it's emails, admin, invoicing, because we think, oh, it'll take too long to teach someone else that. But what I found is that the longer you hold on to it, the more it costs you. So this is where it's good to zoom out and say, what are some things in my schedule or in my leadership role or my business that need to get done, but they don't necessarily have to get done by me. It's that whole idea of the art of delegation, buying back your time, because your role, especially if you're in a high leadership role, especially if you're a CEO or a business owner, your role isn't to do everything. It's to the things that only you can do. Delegate the rest and protect your energy like your business depends on it, because it does, right? Your energy is sacred. And whether it's you or somebody else that's doing certain tasks, the main goal as a leader and as an owner is that it's getting done. When we think about our physical energy, we sometimes can get into spaces, and I know I found myself in this place too, where maybe we're skipping meals or we're working extra just through hard launches and fueling ourselves on caffeine. But our bodies are really the business engine, right? And so as we prioritize hydration and protein and fiber and movement and all the things that we know we're supposed to do, it does actually give us more clarity and focus. And we don't necessarily have to hit those burnout moments. Because when we don't treat our body that way and we treat it and we fuel our body like a high performer, we will see a massive difference. And that comes from proper nourishment. So it's not about being perfect, but it's about being mindful about giving our body the energy and the fuel that we need so that our mind can do what it's here to do. And something I didn't expect was design for those transitions and not just tasks. So what I mean by that is when I would be in a place where I was burning out from doing too much, but then rushing from one thing to the other without any pauses, I was stacked back to back to back. I never accounted for the spaces in between calls or meetings. And now what I'll do is I'll build in buffers after every single meeting in my day, because even just that 5, 10, 15 minutes can reset your entire vibe. And as a leader, your vibe affects your results more than any spreadsheet ever will. So how can you relook at your schedule to buffer in maybe a little walk outside, or giving yourself space in between some of the core events you have throughout the day to just allow for that natural reset and buffering in a transition? And when you ask, if you take a step back, I want to encourage you to think about this question is, when's the last time you've really asked yourself, what does a great day feel like to me? Define that. Take some time after listening to this podcast, or if you're listening on your drive right now, just pause for a minute and think, oh my gosh, like what does a great day feel like? Doesn't necessarily from a productive standpoint, doesn't have to be overly impressive, but what's fulfilling for you? I did this with a journal prompt, and I realized the days that I feel most alive weren't necessarily the ones where I did the most. They were the ones where I felt most connected. I started my day off nice and early. I created some space for some physical fitness, getting a few things done personally before going into the workspace, and just setting up intentions for what needed to get done that day. Because as you know, our to-do lists are never going to end. As one thing gets checked off, 2 or 3 more get added. But if we can start with some intention and what fills our bucket, that is going to be a huge shift for what makes our days feel fulfilled. So start building your schedule around some feelings, not just tasks. This one shift brought more joy and momentum into my business than any planner ever did. And I know for myself, energy wise, I have way more creative energy in the morning. So anything that's really innovative needs to go on my calendar in the morning, or else it just gets put off till the next day. And something to, think about as a top performer to do differently is protecting white space like a CEO. So if you look at any super successful CEO, they don't overfill their calendar. They protect the white space to think, create, and strategize. And I used to have a hard time with this. I used to feel really guilty resting or having this blank space on my calendar, until I realized that my biggest breakthroughs always come in that quiet space, the time where there's not something scheduled. So don't just schedule time to work, schedule time to think, to pause, because that white space in your calendar, that's where that next big idea is waiting for you. And end your day with intentional closure. How you end your day matters. I used to get to the end of the day and race from my office into the car to get home, to get to a kid activity. And this is something I work with a lot of clients on as well. And I just use the phrase or the reference of just parking lot the end of the day. Create that 5-10 minute gap at the end of your day, whether or not you work in an office or at home, to just pause and really close some of those boxes. Take some time to reflect on what worked well today, what didn't work well today, what am I really proud of, what can wait, what needs to be the first thing that I tackle in the morning. but take some space in your mind to get out of that work mode and into wherever your next space is. Maybe that's with your spouse, maybe it's with friends, maybe it's with your children. But just take that time to close out the end of the day. That simple pause, I know for myself and for a lot of the clients I work with, helps me rest better, lead better, and just show up the next day with a clearer head and a more open heart. And so here's the truth is you don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to prove your worth through overwork. You are allowed to build a business that energizes you, that doesn't deplete you. And when you do, everything changes. Your impact, your income, your joy. So your challenge this week is to audit your energy. What drains you? What fuels you? And what really needs to shift? I'd love to hear about it as always. You can DM me on Instagram at Shayla Wey Coaching and let me know your biggest shift or insight. If this episode gave you life, pass it on to a friend who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review, and just remember, because your dream life starts with the way you lead, the way you live, and the way that you grow. So lead intentionally, totally live to your fullest potential, and protect your energy like the asset it is.